Music producers, I need to tell you something. If you're like me and most music producers, chances are you spend way too much time mixing your song. But what if I told you that you could cut your mixing time in half while still creating killer tracks? Sounds like a challenge, right? Well, today it's not just a challenge. It's going to be your new reality. We're diving deep into the secrets of fast and efficient song mixing. After using these techniques, I not only completed my mixes faster, they also sounded better than when I would spend days mixing them. And to help you use these concepts in your song and follow along, I've also made a free Logic Pro template that you can download from my website below that will get you started in following these powerful fast mixing techniques. Stick around because you're about to become the speed demon of the mixing world. Let's get started. Before I reveal the most powerful mixing technique for fast, professional mixing, I'm gonna hit you with some overall mixing advice. These points will give us a great base to build off of before we discover my favorite mixing technique, and they'll also help us mix faster. Here they are. Prepare and organize tracks before mixing. Organization is key. Ensure all your tracks are well labeled, tempo matched, and even color coded. The less you have to think about where an instrument is on the computer, the more you can focus on the actual sounds. Learn and use key commands. If you can do an action with a key command, do it. Stop scrolling, clicking, and wasting time with your mouse when you can do it instantly on your keyboard. There's some great key commands for Logic in this video I made up here. Tip number 3, loop the most important parts of the song. Sometimes the track you've got isn't long enough to get a thorough mix. Instead of clicking at the beginning of your chorus every time it ends, do it automatically by looping the section. Tip number 4, use a gain plugin for automation. The most important part of mixing is volume, and more than likely in your track you'll want to automate it. If you do, save yourself some time, where instead of automating the faders, add a gain plugin and automate that. You'll still be able to move your faders after you put it on, but the effect will be the same. Tip 5, limit your plugin options. Having too many options can be overwhelming. Less is more. Think of the menu at In-N-Out. There's only a few options, but they're all delicious. Do the same for your plugins. Try mixing with just EQ, compression, and a reverb. Mix to a reference. References give you a destination to mix towards. Find songs of a similar genre and vibe to help guide your mixing decisions. Hear what other successful songs are doing and try to emulate it in your own mix. And finally, bus your reverb. Bus reverb uses less processing power, makes your mix gel better together, and is generally faster than using individual reverb on tracks. And with those essential mixing nuggets out of the way, let's discover the technique I find the most helpful for getting mixes done quickly. This technique is called bus processing or batch processing. This technique allows you to group similar tracks and process them together, saving you an insane amount of time. The idea works like this. We'll group together all of the instruments and parts of the same style in the mix and route them to their own bus. Then we'll be able to process and mix all of those parts together. Let me show you how to set this up in Logic Pro 10. This will look similar if you're using a different DAW. Let's group all of our MIDI and synth parts together. In this track, I've color-coded them all to be green. We'll highlight them, right-click, then select Create Track Stack. We'll make sure Summing Track is selected and then click Create. Now we can adjust the volume of all of the synth parts together. We can also process all of them how we'd like to. This may seem like a menial task for your song, but I promise it's gonna save a bunch of time. Imagine a song with 100 different tracks to mix together. Individually adjusting all of those tracks would take a long time. But if we group like instruments together in sections, we can change that 100-track song into something more manageable, like 8 tracks, for example. Mixing 8 tracks together is much easier than 100. But you probably already knew that, and that's what makes this concept so powerful. Now let's see the strategy in action. I'm going to show you how I would mix this song using the bus processing technique. So here we have our mix, and here's a quick sample of what it sounds like.
You taught me how to love, when you raised me up, feels like destiny made a connection between us.
As you can hear in this mix, we have drums, synth, bass, effects, background vocals, and lead vocals. I'm going to create a mix bus for each of those parts I just mentioned. Now that I've got those buses, I'll minimize each one so I can focus on their relationship with the other parts of the song. Next, I'll set up my reverbs on buses. For the first reverb, I'll make it a normal, medium-sized room reverb. For the second, I'll make it a large, grandiose-sized reverb. I think that will fit well with the vibe of this track. Then I'll select all of my buses at once, and I'll add the reverb to each of them. This will save me some time later if I want to add a little atmosphere to each of the instrument buses. I'm also going to add those same reverbs to all of my drum parts so that I can get some more control on each of those. Now it's time to get into the good stuff and start mixing. And to prove that less plugins are more, I'm only going to use EQ, compression, a gain plugin, and maybe some reverb. I'll loop the end of the chorus of this song and I'll mix it in real time.
When you raise me up, feels like destiny made a connection.
I mix this part of the song, I'm constantly balancing the volume of the instrument groups with the other groups. I'm working mostly in broad strokes. If I hear an individual instrument that needs more specific volume work, I'll open up the bus and adjust accordingly. Notice I'm also constantly switching between the mixing window and the arrangement view to better understand my song and my sounds.
It's written in the stars, our name inside a heart. Like to we're lucky we found light in the dark.
And after about 10 minutes of mixing, my song is already sounding much, much better. Check out the before and after. Here's what it sounded like unmixed.
You taught me how to love, when you raised me up. Feels like
Here's what it sounds like after about 15 minutes of mixing with this
how
method.
to love, when you raised me up. Feels like destiny made a connection.
It already sounds great and I didn't have to spend that much time on it. And because I'm all about making your life easier, check out our exclusive template. It's designed to automatically organize your tracks in this efficient way that I just showed you. It comes with the instrument buses already set up from the video and the reverb and delay buses already made for you. You can save even more time by using this outline. Go download it now. Keeping your mixing sessions under 30 minutes like this also has the added benefit of keeping your ears fresh. Ears that have mixed for 6 hours are going to hear different sounds than ears that have mixed for 10 minutes. And notice how much I was able to get done in the short amount of time I gave myself. My mix went from meh to professional in the time span of 15 minutes. And yours can too. Also, don't get discouraged if it takes longer to mix your own song. You'll improve and get faster with practice, I promise. So, to recap, start by organizing your tracks. Learn those key commands. Loop important parts. Use automation wisely. Limit your plugin choices and use bus reverb. And don't forget the big one, use bus processing. It's a game changer. If you found these tips helpful, give us a like, subscribe for more content, and don't forget to check out that template in the description below.